Welcome into the first men's basketball report of 2017. I'm Scott rolling in with head coach Josh Schertz to talk about what's going on with the Wrestlers. It's been a couple weeks since we've done one of these. Coach took a break for the holidays, and then the New Year's coming up. So here we are back for 2017, and going to talk about Saturday's game, the only game we got to talk about. Rung in New Year's Eve or the New Year on Saturday with a 74-60 win over the fifth-ranked Bellarmine Knights. Obviously, what we talked about after the game was how good you guys were defensively. You went back and watched the tape. How do you feel about the performance now, having a couple of days to reflect on it?
Well, I think we really were as locked in as we've been all year. We always talk about trying to be connected defensively, and I think we've had games where we've been connected, and games obviously where we've been pretty disconnected, and that's something that's a work in progress, but. Bellarmine's really hard to guard, not because they run complicated stuff, but they have really smart players. They're tremendous cutters. There's a lot of movement away from the ball, and when you fall asleep, they take advantage. We showed the guys a couple of clips. I think 3 or 4 times all game. We fell asleep and lost sight of the man or gambled and reached and guy back cut us, but we showed them the 3 or 4 layups because every time we screwed up, they took advantage, which is what good teams do, and so thought like we talked about from a focus standpoint, from an attention to detail standpoint, areas that we really have been kind of sore spots for us this year. I thought we were really good in those areas, and anytime you play, it's always a combination. When you hold somebody down, obviously, they missed some good looks, and I thought we were really good defensively. I thought that was probably the case, really, both ways. We had some good looks we missed, and anytime you have games like we did, where I think we were 4 for 18 from 3, and they were 2 for 14. You have 2 teams that shoot it really well. I think it was a lot of credit to the defense in terms of guys taking away the 3-point line and being active, and then I think a couple open looks that both teams had that might have gone in. We missed, but overall, definitely from the defensive standpoint, an A-level performance against a really difficult offense to guard.
Well, and then the last game before the Bellarmine game was the Newberry game, where obviously you were a little bit disappointing from a defensive standpoint. They make 23 pointers. And that was on December 17th. Had 2 weeks really to stew on that for the holidays, and then got to come back and practice. And you said after the Bellarmine game that those 3 days were some of the best days of practice you'd had yet. Do you think that what happened with Newberry was kind of a little bit of a wake-up call for what you needed to be doing defensively, how you needed to play to be a successful team?
Well, you hope in terms of guys understanding why it's important. When you go out against Newberry and look, and I said this after the game, Newberry played great. So that's the first thing. They were terrific, and Newberry attacks you in a certain way, and if they shot, if Newberry against us shot 47 threes and 31 free throws, you're going to lose. There's no way you can beat them if those are the numbers that they're putting up from the 3-point line and from the free throw line. So we went in with an idea of how we wanted to play them, and and we didn't do it. And ultimately, that falls on to me. It's my job to make sure that guys are following the scouting report, the guys are doing what we're asking them to do, the guys are attentive and understand personnel. And so I thought coming out of the break, it was interesting to see how we'd respond. And I think when you look at like the Bellarmine game, that game, somebody asked me, will that game give us confidence moving forward? And the reality is, your confidence should come from your everyday work, not from your most recent results. So beating Bellarmine shouldn't give us confidence. What should give us confidence is the fact that our everyday work going to Bellarmine was good. We know if we invest the work and we're focused and we pay attention to detail, that we have a really good team, that we can start to have some growth and move forward, and that if we do that, then we can are capable of beating and playing with anybody. But we also know that when those things are not in place, like with anybody, talent's never enough. We have a talented group. We've known that since the beginning of the year, but it's a group that has struggled in those areas. Hopefully the Newberry game was kind of an indicator, but you would think we've had some bumps in the road here where we haven't really been focused, and so how many times it takes before guys totally lock in, I don't know, but I was really pleased with the practices coming out of the break, and I thought going in against Bellarmine we'd play well. Now whether that would be good enough to win or not, who knows? But I really believed that the work we did, the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th would translate over to the game on the 31st.
Well, then the Bellarmine game was strange in a lot of ways. You said it was a chess match in a lot of ways where they played small more often than not, which forced us to kind of go away from the lineup that we've played with most of the season, where Emmanuel only plays 17 minutes. Chris Perry was effective but only played 23 minutes. But you got a lot of production, a really nice game from Paul Woodson off the bench, who you went to him as your kind of small ball forward, and then Trayvon Shaw for another 25 minutes off the bench. So how nice was it to see that, particularly against an opponent of that quality, that you could kind of morph into a different style and play a different style of game and still be successful?
Yeah, no, that was was really a positive. It's something that we've always try to do in recruiting is be versatile and have different ways to play. And I think we hurt them early. Chris, when he was in there, was really effective offensively. When they went really small and then they played Eberhard at the 5. And then he's really kind of like a 3-4. It was difficult for Chris defensively, and they were doing a nice job of really sagging in and cluttering, the floor up. So we tried to go smaller, get more spacing, slid Dory into the 5, and we played like that a lot last year. We haven't done it much this year because obviously Emmanuel, Chris are two of our best players, and they're both 5s, and so you want to get them on the floor, but. As always, you're trying to do whatever you can to help the team in that particular game. And in that particular game, for us, defensively, being small and being able to switch everything, and being small and being able to space the floor, I thought were two big keys in the second half. We took away a lot of their ball screen stuff with switching, and we were able to counteract that. Paul's obviously a tremendously versatile defender. Dorian as well, Luquan, Trayvon's a big, strong kid. So and Scoot's not big, but he's tough and he can do some different things. So we were able to take away the ball screen stuff. Now on offense, it opened the floor up and allowed us to get some drives. And again, they were doing a great job of helping and sagging in. So, but when Chris was in there, we were able to throw it to him a bunch and try to take advantage of his obviously his size against them. And so and then Emmanuel was just one of those games where he was a little bit banged up going in. We'll see how he is for this week, but we knew he was going to be limited, in terms of injury. So he gave us what he could, and we were appreciative of that.
Well, and that game on Saturday began another tough stretch, another tough pocket of the schedule here. It seems like we've had several of those. Pretty much the whole season has actually been a tough pocket of.
It's a tough pocket of 2016-17.
Yeah, it's been pretty tough from start to finish, really. But this one in particular, you really highlight Mars Hill coming in here on Wednesday, and then after that, 6 of your next 8 games are on the road. And on Saturday, going to the third-ranked team in the country, Queens. So just talk about the stretch coming up right here, beginning with Mars Hill on Wednesday night.
Well, I think Mars Hill's a team that I've watched on film. I'm impressed with them. They you can look at their record and it's not great, but if you watch them play, they beat Wingate. Which was a good team at home, and then you watch them against Carson Newman. They're up 12 at half. And they lose the game, but it's a 1-point game with under 45 seconds to go. They lose by 5. They played Western Carolina here coming out of the break, and it's a 2-point game late in the second half. So they've got them playing. I think obviously you watch the way they're flying around, competing. They play a lot of guys. They've got skilled offensive players. They're got a lot of guys back from last year that are solid, and then they've added some pieces, to it, and some various guys that I think will pose problems. They play. I think they play 10 or 11 guys, double-figure minutes. They mix, play some man, play some zone. They obviously play fast offensively. They're a good offensive rebounding team. They send multiple guys to the glass, and it's one of those games where you're going to have to come out and certainly from our standpoint be ready, because I think they play with great energy. When you watch them play, they play very, very hard. They obviously had a coaching change here, early in the year, and but they've, with less than ideal circumstances from scholarships and recruiting standpoint, they put together a nice roster, and they got them playing hard and playing tough, and we'll have to play well to have success on Wednesday. And then obviously you turn around and go to Queens, and I think they've certainly to this point been the best team in the league. I think without question, they're undefeated. They've handled everybody that they've played easily. I don't think they've really been challenged yet this season, in league or out. They've got a really, really talented group of guys. They were talented last year, and I think they lost a bunch of guys and are more talented this year. But I think the difference for them this year is, they've got a really good toughness about them. They've got, they've got a lot of confidence. They're a team that is really difficult to guard. They shoot the ball extremely well from 4 different spots, sometimes 5, depending on how they're playing. And but then they got guys that can absolutely get downhill and drive you, so they spread you out, but they're good off the bounce. They got a lot of playmakers on the floor. There's a reason they're number 3 in the country and undefeated. And like I said, I don't even know that they've played a game inside of single figures yet. I think only anybody's played them close. So we'll have a great challenge Wednesday here with Mars Hill in terms of what we got to do to be successful. And then we got to, as we get in the rhythm now of league, now that Bellarmine's behind us, now it's really kind of the heart of conference, where it's the rhythm every Wednesday, every Saturday, and obviously we go on the road to a team that I think has to this point been the best team in the region. So we'll have our work cut out for us. We got to get better between now and Wednesday, and certainly try to get a little better Thursday to Saturday to give ourselves a chance. Hopefully we'll go in and play well and see how it turns out. But that's the key for us, is to kind of focus on playing well and getting better, and we'll see how we kind of stack up.
One of the things you've talked about throughout the season is, this team at times has had trouble dealing with success in terms of following up on success, following the big win over the 5th-ranked team in the country, and then looking ahead to Saturday's game against a top 3 team and another top 5, top 3 team in the country, depending on where Mars Hill is in the rankings. How do you keep the guys focused on the task ahead, one game ahead, that Mars Hill game? Mars Hill coming in, haven't beat you guys since 2010, lost 5 straight, they've struggled a little bit at parts of the season. So how do you keep the guys focused on the task ahead in Mars Hill?
Well, I mean, you gotta, one of our core values is mindfulness, and that's basically being where your feet are and the day-to-day process of what it takes to be successful. Another thing we talk about all the time is appropriate fear, and that's not necessarily being scared of anything, but it's certainly having an appropriate fear for the opponent and respect for what can happen inside a competition. And Mars Hill is, if we're not focused and ready to play against Mars Hill, they're plenty capable of beating us. Wingate found that out. Carson Newman almost found that out. They've been in a bunch of games. They've given themselves chances. They're a team that plays, like I said, really hard. They play with great energy. You watch their bench. They're engaged. I mean, all the things that go in intangibly to being good. They're not a team that's coming in here and going to lay down. We're going to have to go out and earn it and play well. And if the guys think anything less than that, then, they're in for a rude awakening on Wednesday night. So it's on us to certainly try to, part of of the whole deal is not to get so. And I think coming off the Bellarmine game, it's so important is to handle a win or handle a loss the right way. And certainly you want to extract all the information from it, and you want to take the experience and you want to learn from it. And then really it doesn't make too much sense to get too high on a win or too depressed over a loss, because the only thing that really matters is the next game, right? I mean, so, Bellarmine, it is a great thing. It was a good win. We're happy. Winning is always great. Losing stinks. But you want to extract the experience, take all the lessons from it, and then all that really matters is the next game. It doesn't make sense to be over the moon because we beat Bellarmine, or had we lost to Bellarmine to be too so depressed that we can't get ready for the next game. So that's got to be the mentality. We got to stay focused on growth, try to become the best possible version of ourselves. At the end, that's what we want to be, and hopefully we can play well enough along the way to win some games. But our focus this week has got to be on getting better, so we can be good enough to play well and play better against Mars Hill than we did against Bellarmine, and we certainly got to be better Saturday at Queens. I mean, we're this Saturday to have any chance against them.
Well, and then, Coach, heading into 2017 here, the first game of 2017 coming up on Wednesday. Just assess where your team's at right now. You talked about early in the season you thought there would be some bumps in the road early, just based on the schedule and the new group collectively. And there have been some bumps in the road, but there have also been some points where we've seen the potential of this team. They flash their potential. So just kind of assess what you've seen and where you're at right now.
Well, I think, if you look at the first 12 games, this week gets us to the halfway point of what we're guaranteed in the regular season of 28 games. So we get through this week, we're at the 14 game mark. I think I would say I've been frustrated with the results a little bit, and frustrated at times with the growth or lack thereof. That's the thing we always focus on is certainly we understand it's a results business, but we're really consumed with our growth and trying to, we always talk about, hit our head on our potential each and every game and then move that ceiling up, and so that by the end, we're the best we can be when it matters most as we head towards the postseason. So, but you got to win games to earn those opportunities, right? So I think where we are is we have to be more consistent. And as you said, we've shown flashes. We've had games. We've had spurts in games. You look at we have two of probably the best wins, non-conference wins in the region. When you look at like Kentucky Wesleyan and Bellarmine, who I think are both 10-2 right now, and so we've shown against good teams we're capable. We've also shown in spurts that we really, when the wheels come off, they really do come off. And so we have some really high peaks, but our valleys are too low right now. So what we want to do is become consistent, and we want to become consistent relative to execution, consistent relative to our effort and our toughness. And that's, got to be from our everyday work. We got to go in between the lines, build those habits, and we make that transition become more consistent. I think, sky's the limit for this group. We've got a really talented group of guys. I think they care. I think they want to be good. But it's obviously, are they willing to do the things, day to day to build that confidence that comes from your everyday work. So we'll see. I think right now we're definitely not where we need to be. We're definitely not nowhere near good enough to compete for anything of significance at this point. But I think we can get a lot better. I think we have a lot of growth ahead, and I think we saw a little bit of light, with the preparation, how we played against Bellarmine. It kind of showed us, okay, maybe this is the way. Now it's, as we talked about, handling prosperity and appropriately and learning from it, and then moving forward, building on that. So that's not the highlight of our year, but just something that's kind of a building point for us as we move forward.